Hi guys, welcome back from spring break. Hope it was a great week off of relaxation. It's now time to jump in the saddle and we are going to do our training for milestones, which starts in a couple of weeks. So let's go. All right, when we test at Timber Ridge, everyone tests, the whole school. So please remain quiet in the hallways, in specials, the whole building. Testing begins immediately after announcements each day for about 4 weeks. Check the calendar. I'm going to show you the calendar in a minute so you'll know which grade level is testing on which days and which weeks. Except for the makerspace, which will probably have an extended time group, everyone should be done by 10 o'clock. But as usual, I will make an announcement over the intercom when everyone is finished. I will send a remind text as well so that you know when everyone's finished. Overview of milestones. All right, we know that the Georgia Milestones is a summative assessment of learning. It takes place at the end of the school year. It's measuring student mastery of the standards. It's also used to assess instructional practices, review curriculum mapping, and to evaluate academic programming. Here is the schedule for elementary schools. You can see we will be starting on April 27th. And you can see how it's 5th grade for the first 2 weeks, then 3rd grade, and then 4th grade. So please plan accordingly with respect to the schedule. And I ask you, as I do every year, please do not plan doctor's appointments or anything of that nature where you may be out in the morning during your testing time. All right, at this time, if you're a 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade teacher or a parapro, I'm going to need you to stay on the PowerPoint to continue with the training. Everybody else can log off. All right, test security. Test examiners, your role and responsibility is you have to be certified and you have to participate in the training and you have to follow the administration protocols and procedures. The proctors, you're to participate in the training and follow the procedures. And these are the requirements. These are examples of places where there's online practice. Most of you guys know all this. And then you can access it from the DRC icon that's on your desktop. You could do the EOG test practice. In the past, if you want me to, I can meet you in the computer lab or come to your class with laptops and I can walk the kids through the practice test so that they can see the tools and we can talk about the setup of the test. I think it probably would be a really good idea considering they haven't taken it. Here's the testing items. At any time during this training, if you want to stop and pause and read the PowerPoint or look at things more in depth, help yourself. All right, ELA. During ELA, there's selected response, but there's also constructed response and extended constructed response. I did look up how many questions there were. There's only one extended response question. It's worth 7 points. There are 2 constructed response questions. I think they're both worth, maybe there's just one and it's worth 4 points. And then there's just a very short constructed response that's worth 2 points. This is math, social studies, and science. Tells you the different types of questions that will be included. Basically, we do not have calculators. We do not use calculators during the milestones. You will have scratch paper in your buckets just like you always do. Actually, you won't have buckets because we'll have test tickets, but you'll have their pencils, your scratch paper. I'll have all those things in envelopes each day when you come to check into the office to pick up your test tickets. This is information on the universal tools, which if you do the practice or if you want me to do the practice, we'll go over all of these tools. All right, roles and responsibilities. Your responsibility is to follow the testing guidelines to make sure you are testing the correct test on the correct day. You are following all accommodations, that you are keeping the test materials secure, which means the test tickets are with you all the time. Okay, whenever that. You guys know that during testing, as the proctor or the test examiner, you are walking the room the entire time. You're not grading papers, checking your email. You are literally walking the entire time, checking to make sure that everybody's on task and nobody's having a connectivity issue and so forth. You will have your accommodations for your students that have 504s or IEPs. You will have those as will be given to you and gone over prior to testing day. And this is allowable accommodations chart. This talks about the tool magnifier. Okay, cell phones. Teachers can have their cell phones because that's how we communicate a lot during testing. But now that there are a lot of students who have the watches, or they have phones. They cannot have any kind of electronic devices on them during testing. They all need to be powered down and in their backpacks, especially the watches. Forget about those sometimes. All right, everybody will be receiving their test administration manual. Security, like I said, is that the rosters, the test tickets are to be stored with you at all times if they're not with me. You'll sign them out with me just like you have in the past. All right, we're going to avoid having irregularities based on not giving accommodations. Most of the accommodations are already pre-programmed in the computer system, but you will still have accommodations that are preferential seating, maybe a privacy carol, those kind of things. So those accommodations have to be offered. We're not going to have any irregularities, but I'm not going to read this to you. It's your responsibility to read these. It's going to give you examples of irregularities. Of course, what you do if you think there's an irregularity is you contact me immediately and you write it up on the back of your examiner's certification form. If you have a student that has a read aloud, we might have one, I'm not really sure, but the test ticket will indicate, and you will see when you get your test tickets, any accommodations that I have had to code on the computer, they will show up on the test ticket. You can see it's highlighted in yellow and blue here. If you have somebody that you think is cheating, you need to let me know immediately. If a student feels ill before their testing, you guys always know to text me, and often we'll run them down to Ruth to get her to check. But if a student gets sick while testing, you need to text me immediately and I'll let you know what to do. All right, here's the online overview information. I'm just going to scroll through this quickly. You can stop if you decide you want to do this with your class. Without me, you can stop and go through this yourself or with your class, or I can do it. We are not using the equation builder. We're not using it. I'm not even going to show it. It's really mostly for high school kids or middle school, and it just takes time, and that's what I will tell them if I take them to the computer lab. It just takes time, just going to use paper and pencil. These are all examples of what the questions look like, how you determine which is a constructed response versus the extended constructed response based on the number of words that it shows you at the bottom of the page. Here's some scenarios of what it may look like if you have connectivity issues. And then you guys know, and you will walk the kids through this practice where when they get to the end, it puts a check if they've answered the question. If it's blank, the little box is blank, that means they did not answer, and they can always go back, but they have to exit the test session properly, which means they have to end test, and then after they end test, they have to submit. They will say, are you sure you want to submit? Here's resources on the Georgia DOE website that you can access. And that is it. On Tuesday, we'll have a quick staff meeting where I'll have you guys sign in saying that you have already watched this training, and I'll answer questions. And as it gets closer, I'll have your folders for you and all that information. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for putting up with my raspy voice. See you tomorrow.